Hawaii imports close to 90% of its food. I realized that if the ship stopped coming to Hawaii, we'd be pretty screwed. And I kind of took a look around my environment and I said, well, hey, this wouldn't last like a week. So I kind of got out of the city and started planting, basically. That's a banana.
How do you pick them?
Oh, you just chop down the whole tree, and then the next one comes, and then they keep growing. It just takes 1 year for it to go full size. Even this one, we cut it back, but you can see that it's regrowing.
And this up here?
That's an old papaya that should be cut down.
Right, like how do you harvest?
You need a really long stick. This is acai, acai bowls from a palm.
Did you plant it for acai bowls?
Yeah.
But you can also eat the palm heart if you have too many stalks coming out.
This is like a big pineapple patch. So this is a special variety called the sugarloaf white pineapple. It has 0 acidity to it. It's just sweet and people love it. Those are dwarf coconuts. They will never get tall.
Because that's easier to harvest?
Yeah. And yeah, these are probably getting kind of old. The older they get, the more kind of fatty they are. Depending on the different stages, you can drink some of them, you can leave them on for actually making coconut milk. Yeah, this one, I don't really hear too much water in it, so.
So what does that mean?
Maybe it's for meat. Yeah, I don't know yet. Still learning.
So you've eaten it for a long time, but you're starting to grow it.
Yeah.
You know it as a grocery store item more than a...
Usually we buy it in cans, right? But we have like 10 of these, so we got like coconut covered. To commit to planting a forest, you want to have some assurance that you can steward the land for a long period. And of course, we are fortunate enough to be able to buy land here. It's definitely something I planned for a long, long time. The land here was basically, it was just all mowed. So it was like all grass when we got here. It was basically the house. This is a HPM kit home. So
What's HPM?
HPM is like one of the lumber stores here. It's kind of like a, plantation style home. The model is called the kumukahi, and it's not huge, but it has everything we need. It's kind of a home that's easy to clean and perfect for people who like working outdoors. This place, from Hilo all the way to Waipio Valley, was all sugarcane ever since the late 1800s to like the 80s, 90s. So we planted all this. Most people here, they'll just mow, keep it a big lawn. This whole place wants to be a forest, so that's kind of what I'm doing. There's something wild and beautiful about planting a tree. You dig a hole once, you water it, watch it grow, and if you're lucky, you'll be eating fruit from that same tree for the rest of your life. That's what a food forest is. This is black pepper. These are peppercorns.
So those will dry out?
Yeah.
They get fermented.
This is a green tea from seed. And there's a vanilla also climbing up this avocado tree.
Which is so expensive.
Yeah, we want vanilla just growing everywhere, basically. I planted this tree 6 years ago when it was as thick as a pencil. This is fruiting.
What is that?
This is called Rollinia. It's related to cherimoya, soursop.
It's something you like?
It's really good.
Yeah.
You're gonna eat this one, right?
Yeah. We can pick them. We like to call this like our outside fridge. Should I just twist it off? Oh.
Yeah, we think about, what do you want to eat for lunch? And then we're like, oh, harvest me this and this and this. And then just go, and it never goes into a bag and into a refrigerator, it's just straight out of the garden.
This thing has a very short shelf life. It'll just turn completely brown in a couple of days. So that's why you don't really see it in the stores.
Despite the fact that it must be like a really interesting and really healthy snack.
I love snacking on those. So this is our little vegetable garden. So we harvest about 80% of the vegetables we eat here. So we try to cross off things off our shopping list. So there's tatsoi, Asian greens. There's some radishes here. Oh, here's sweet potato. Yeah, so they're almost ready to harvest. As you can see, they're flowering now.
And that means they're almost ready?
Yeah, so it's a sign that they made enough root to sustain flowers. There is our next generation of Asian greens. There is my first onion planting. I just weeded them. So here is garbanzo bean. But as you see, there's a paar carrots in between. So I try to not have too many of the same species at one point to help them with pests, since I cannot really spray things because of the bees. Here's zinnias. I leave them also for the bees. It makes good honey. So I just try to diversify as much as I can. This is corn. We grow year round here. So we also harvest our own seed for several of the vegetable species we grow, adapting them to the climate more and more. So
do you see stuff going to seed, like even here?
yeah, that's a sunflower. I have to harvest the seed. Tomatillo. So this is the first generation, so they're not doing so well yet. I'm suspecting when I grow them out 4 times, the plants are gonna be more adapted. There's something very Hawaiian, Polynesian. This is taro. In Hawaii, we call it kalo.
Taro, oh yeah.
And there's different varieties in here I try to preserve and replant.
Because you want to see which grows best?
Yeah, and they all have different flavors and different uses. Some are really good for having just on the table, like you put potatoes with butter on top, and some are better to make poi out of. And I love to have a little wild corner in the garden at all times to house beneficial insects and like spiders and ladybugs, and they love that.
So kind of the messier, the better.
Almost
Yes.
like a Native American type of integrating different crops.
Yeah, I try to learn from those cultures how to really have a sustainable garden that doesn't need too much input.
These are some beans that we grow. Good for like stews and stuff. They're kind of like, almost like lima beans.
So it's been a process of seeing like, okay, what are we buying? What can we grow of what we're buying? You look at your list,
Yeah.
your grocery list.
Right.
And in the beginning, we were very limited as far as like what we could grow because the soil wasn't quite ready yet. So what we do is we make tons of compost piles here, and we just keep adding and adding and adding compost until the soil can, grow all kinds of other things that require that kind of fertility and pH balance. All the kitchen scraps, all the grass clippings, banana trunks go in here, get piled up. It just goes back into the garden or around the trees.
What's above it?
That's a banana. This is the male part of the flower, and the male flowers, they don't turn into bananas. I planted these bananas when I first got here as an initial windbreak. So you kind of have to like plant it in succession, I guess. Clearing the land or making compost piles everywhere to boost the fertility. Planting down like really fast growing plants that create biomass. And then we plant in like our long-term trees that are gonna just be here for a while. This is actually a mahogany right here. I've never done this before, so it's kind of like a big gamble too. But I think it's working.
Yeah, it's really lush. A lot of grows here.
Yeah, maybe too much. I'm kind of tired of eating bananas, to be honest. These are just like for the ducks, really.
They love bananas.
And the ducks are for eggs?
When we can find them, they like to hide them. But the ducks, they poop everywhere. They eat a lot of insects and
So they're good fertilizers.
yeah, I'm not a big chicken fan because they scratch everything up, Oh. These ducks, they just kind of flatten things out. I like that. This is a soursop tree. This is a black pepper. This is called sacha inchi. It's also called Inca nut. You can eat it like a nut. There's more than 60,000 edible plants on this planet, and we only eat maybe 50 of them on a regular basis. This is a breadfruit tree. A lot of our staple foods come from the land, like taro, breadfruit.
What's this?
That's, yeah, ulu or breadfruit. The breadfruit is a very magical fruit. In varying stages, you can kind of enjoy it in different ways. This one is a mature fruit. It's really hard and firm. Once it starts to ripen, it's gonna get really soft. So breadfruit at this like soft ripe stage, it's sweet and it has like a sweet potato banana-like flavor. So it's good for desserts. But a mature breadfruit like this, while it's still hard, so this you can enjoy like a potato. So anything you can do with a potato, you can do with a mature breadfruit. It has a very neutral flavor. So you could cube this up and put it into a stew or turn them into chips or fries. You can mash it.
Is it a good alternative to a lot of other carbs?
Totally. It has like a moderate glycemic index, so it's healthier than rice. It was a major part of the Hawaiian diet. It has a lot of fiber in it too. It has amylose, which is an insoluble fiber. It helps you stay full for a while. So if I wanted to make French fries, I would just cut it like this and just fry this in oil. It's like a potato. And one tree will produce like 200 to 300 pounds a year. So this is like a really bulletproof carbohydrate source. You know, it just grows on a tree, so you don't have to plant it every year. It's crazy. Oh, our first tangelo
First tangelo.
Ever?
ever.
The tree made the first fruit. That's so awesome.
You know each tree.
It's like, oh, finally.
Yeah.
And then here's the tiny house. So yeah, we just built this place with the intention of having people here to help us and wanting to learn. It's actually on a trailer. In case I want to move it, I hope I never have to. I had a friend frame it, wall it, roof it. I did the flooring and the drywall and like learn how to be an electrician on YouTube. You know, Julie and I painted everything, and it's just powered by a few panels, and it uses propane to heat hot water.
It's nice because you don't have to be indoors for the kitchen. Just kind of keep this part outside.
It works for like a simple lifestyle. It's not very big inside.
Okay.
You know, it's pretty straightforward.
It is small.
And then there's a shower back there. It's basically just a pallet as a platform.
Produce palette?
Yeah.
And then
You could probably afford to have inside, outside, the spaces here.
Yeah.
what do you do to tend to the, just add some fertilizer?
Pruning sometimes. Yeah, we fertilize. I like to use like compost and chicken manure. Mulch is always good. This will break down, turn into soil, hold in moisture. Like in theory, you know, a forest feeds itself, right? Nobody goes into the forest and fertilizes it. So trying to do the same thing here.
So this is all cacao, well, a lot of cacao.
Yeah, like every 13 feet. And then we planted all kinds of other things in between.
So you see here, some of these are ripe.
This one's ripe. This is ripe. So we grow at least 20 distinctive strains of cacao. And this tree makes green pods, and when they're ripe, they turn yellow. If you scratch the surface, if it's not green anymore, that also means it's ready. If you kind of shake it too, you can kind of hear it kind of separating from the inner wall. So you can enjoy the white pulpy flesh around the seed, the fruit pulp. It has this like pineapple, banana, citrus.
So how many cacao varieties do you guys have?
About 20 or so. We're in the process of identifying which cacao does really well here, flavor-wise, growth habits, yield, and then we're probably gonna start grafting them and then making more of those. And we planted 200 cacao trees here. So that'll be about maybe 1,600 pounds of chocolate.
Is that enough to make a living if you could get it going?
That's the theory. With any crop here, if you don't value add, you're not gonna make it. You can't really sell like the raw ingredient. You gotta kind of have to take it all the way. Because Hawaii, the land prices are so high, labor costs are really high, electricity is high, everything's expensive.
You have a greenhouse then for starting, or?
This is for drying the cacao. So this is basically the cacao beans. So this is about 2 wheelbarrows worth of cacao pods.
So you had to split the pods
Yeah.
and by hand, everything just.
Yeah, more or less.
Do you remember
We had like 4 people, like just talking story. This is like a minimal amount that you want to ferment. So do you smell that?
I smell it.
It kind of has a vinegary alcohol smell, right? So that's basically the pulp around the bean. The sugars are turning into alcohol. The alcohol is going to turn into acetic acids or like vinegar. And that's basically the fermentation process. You can see it bubbling a little bit. All the microbes are starting to do their thing. So it's kind of like sourdough or kombucha. Within a couple of days, this thing is going to heat up to about 115, 120 on its own. And that's what's going to keep like it from molding. My mentor taught me that 50% of the chocolate flavor comes from this step. So if you don't ferment the beans properly, you're not going to get good chocolate. And so this is probably the most important step. And you kind of have to leave it cracked open so it can breathe, yeah. And then this is the juices that came out.
So how long did you say this has been?
So fermentation takes 7 days. And then put it on the drying racks. It takes about a month for the beans to dry. As you can see, it kind of turned color, right? This is kind of what it looks like inside.
The nibs or
Yeah,
something?
this is basically what you would call cacao nibs. The moisture content goes down to about, I think, 8%. Luckily, I've had a good teacher. Hershey's actually came to Hawaii at one point to start chocolate farming. They brought in a bunch of experts. He learned from them, and then he just started his own thing after Hershey's left. Yeah, so it's our home kitchen where we do all kinds of things, but chocolate is one of them. The beans.
These are, wow, are these your beans?
Yeah.
Are you continually harvesting beans or is this
Pretty
from
much.
Okay, there's no season. Okay.
Well, there is a season, but there's like two months out of the year where there's no harvest happening.
Oh, that smells good.
What's cool about cacao is once you dry it, you can sit on it for like a couple years, without any refrigeration. So that's like a huge advantage. That's one of the main reasons why we got into it. So it takes a month to dry. You have to actually let the beans cure for about 6 to 8 months to kind of let it age.
It's like it's kind of developing flavor.
It is, yeah.
Okay.
So the next step is you have to roast the beans. This is a very basic roaster. It's meant for roasting coffee, but I can do like 2 pounds at a time in this.
Is that enough at a time or would
It is not enough at a time. But for now, this is kind of what we're rolling with. When Julia makes the morning coffee, she roasts a batch. The roaster runs for about 20 minutes. It's like just part of our daily thing, yeah.
I smell the chocolate.
So that's the bean or the nib, right? The shell part needs to be removed. So before I was watching movies and peeling these by hand, but I came across this contraption on YouTube. What it is it's a champion juicer that will grind up the beans. And then at the same time, I turn on this vacuum cleaner, right? So the heavy nibs are just gonna fall straight down into this bucket. And then the lighter weight shells are just gonna go up this way and it gets kind of filtered out in this cyclonic dust deputy. All of the debris is gonna end up in this bucket and then nothing's gonna end up in my vacuum cleaner. So this is all roasted beans. Okay, so we'll turn the vacuum. The mainstream chocolate out there, mass produced, bought in large quantities from different regions of the world. So what the major manufacturers do is they'll alkalize the beans. It just strips out all the unique flavors out of it.
So why would they do that?
To homogenize everything, because they want their chocolate to taste exactly the same every time. In Africa, Ivory Coast is where most of the cacao comes from globally. The cacao there is worth about $1.50 to $2 a pound at the most. That's basically like the commodity cacao that they sell on the world market.
What would this be worth?
So Hawaii grown chocolate is so rare right now that it's worth about 10 to 15 a pound at this dry stage. So about 10 times.
So you could make a living at this.
That's the theory. We'll see.
So you made this?
Yeah, they don't sell it.
They don't sell it.
And they do sell winnowing machines. They're pretty expensive. $2,000, $3,000.
And these, how much did it cost?
$150. Here are the nibs. So this is basically the raw ingredient for chocolate. And this sells for like 20 to 24 a pound, Hawaii grown. So next step, it's called the melanger or wet grinder. The base of the vessel is made out of granite. And then there's two wheels made out of granite. And whatever's in here is just gonna keep grinding and grinding. Yeah, so the nibs finely ground up, and then you add in sugar depending on what kind of chocolate you're doing. I make a 70%. It's essentially 70% nibs and then 30% sugar. So when the solids get ground down, this thing has to run for 24 hours basically until the particle size reaches under 30 microns. Then your tongue can't distinguish particles. It's October 24th, 2019. Pretty awesome day today because we are grinding down our first batch of chocolate. So after like one day of grinding and then another day of just mixing, want to aerate the chocolate. That gets rid of a lot of the volatile flavors in there, kind of like the off flavors. It kind of like rounds it out, kind of like you're like simmering a stew almost. So before pouring the bar into the molds, you have to temper the chocolate.
What's that?
If you don't temper chocolate, when it solidifies, it's gonna have these like kind of like grayish, whitish streaks on them. And it's kind of more like crumbly. Properly tempered chocolate should have a nice shine to it. And then it also has a nice snap. In the tropics, it's really hard to temper chocolate. I basically shoved the air conditioner in my garage closet. So that's where I set my bars, in my garage closet for now. But I'm gonna build the little structure soon just for chocolate making. Let's try some.
Say no to that.
Yeah. Please dig in. So this is my 70% dark chocolate.
So from the 20 different species you have right now, how many of the species you have planted are in here?
All of them should be, most of them should be in there.
So this is a very personal, this is your show.
It is, yeah. And of course we're like hand wrapping bars. So see, this is nice and shiny, right?
That foil?
Yeah, it's actually hamburger wrapper.
What's the name of it?
It's ha'a chocolate. Ha'a in Hawaiian means humble. And we have a little humble small farm here.
That's a good thing to really like handcraft it.
Yeah, I think that's kind of the direction we want to go. I mean, a lot of people like go into a lot of debt and just like try to be the biggest and best. We just want to make good chocolate and enjoy life, not stress out too much.
So, Julia, do you mind that there's all this happening in your kitchen? Like,
There's so much happening in this kitchen. Making bread. There's always homesteading to do.
Yeah, there's something. Yeah, we just have to kind of make each step of the process a part of our day.
While you are having breakfast, you're also running other things.
Yeah. Here's the Rollinia from earlier.
There's some hot tea I made for you.
Oh, you gotta watch this too.
because this is your, what is this?
It's butterfly pea.
Is it from your garden?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's everything.
Everything is.
Is it tea?
Yeah, I mean, it's herbal tea, but it's just not dried herbs. It's just fresh herbs from the garden. And Julia, she puts in that butterfly pea flour to make it blue. It kind of gives it a slight sweetness to it. And what's cool is when you add acid to it, it turns purple. So here's the Rollinia. It's very reassuring. I mean, we know exactly what's going into our food. We know exactly what was sprayed on it or what wasn't sprayed on it. I feel really healthy. We eat a lot of vegetables and fruits and a lot of fresh things.
Here's actually stinging nettle. I really
Oh.
love eating those, so be careful. But we like to eat them.
You do as a tea or as
Or
a...
as a vegetable.
As a vegetable.
And there's our white sage. So when we use something, we try to grow it. And I love to use white sage. Like we even have parsnip growing here, which is not really here on the market. So if you want to eat it, you kind of have to grow it yourself. So same goes for celery, celeriac, and things like that.
You said you try to cross off things off your shopping list?
Yeah,
Oh, that's great. So you see what you're actually buying and then say, let's plant it.
right. If possible. And we can grow a lot here. I grow my own sesame, and as you can see here, they just sprouted themselves. I had sesame growing here, and then I put the sweet potato in. And you can see how much life is. I love this garden because there's just so much life in here. Bumblebees and bees, and there's food everywhere. And
But don't normally farmers say, we don't want the butterflies?
yeah, there are, but you know, if that's just a little bit, I feel it makes the plant stronger when there is something eating them a little bit. And so they have to protect themselves, and it goes into the seed. And then I get stronger plants in the long run. So we all work together here to just grow food. I really love the beehive. I really love those guys. Yeah, they provide so much. Also, just the beauty of watching them, going to the flowers, and of course, the pollination work they do is astonishing.
This is Hawaiian sumac honey. We'll get like 2 or 3 gallons a month from that one hive. So it's more than enough than what we can consume.
So are you always just shopping your garden?
Yeah, I shop a lot in the garden. So they're not turning all the way orange because of it's too warm. Let's test this one. Yeah, this one is ready.
Oh, this is another thing I might want to talk about. This is a compost tea brewer. Normally, people brew their teas with a bubbler in a barrel. Yeah. This one actually creates a vortex. This is like an air pump right here. So it basically pumps air up these hoses, and that forces the water to travel up. And then it basically creates a spiral, and it oxygenates the water with your bag of compost in there, in a pantyhose in there for a day. Then that water just becomes full of beneficial bacteria, fungi, protozoa, and then you spray this everywhere, and then they'll just live on the plants and perform all kinds of beneficial services. Like whatever they consume and secrete will become fertilizer. They'll keep diseases in check. It's like basically just proliferating a whole universe of microorganisms.
But you still need a compost tea even in a place that's so fertile and so lush.
It helps. Honestly though, like this area we're living in, it rains so much that the soil is highly weathered. So you actually have to add a lot to it.
Because there is runoff.
Yeah, so there's a lot of leaching going on.
So I guess what you are doing with your density of planting is also helping moisture to stay instead of just running off.
Of course, yeah. And the more life there is in the soil, you know, life carries water, so that holds moisture. See, this is that nene leao from earlier. This one's like kind of like died on its own. So we just cut them down and use them as like borders or like make biochar. More than half of what I plant is not going to be here long term. We're just probably going to stump them or harvest the wood or whatever. And the roots that are left behind, they break down. The mushrooms come in and start eating them. So that's also going to make the soil even better too.
So you already started that process that is ongoing.
Yeah, there's a lot of soil. There's a lot of rain. And then you plant a tree and it'll just take off. Like this is one of the first we planted. It's a clove.
Spice you're using it?
Yeah, clove spice. These fully ripened. You're actually supposed to pick these before they flower. So this is kind of like the ideal clove. It's super intense though, just be careful.
Okay.
This is where I got the big red flavor. I think what I'm gonna do is I'm probably gonna germinate these and sell them as darts. It'll turn into a small tree. This is cinnamon. So if you crush one of these older leaves, you'll catch the scent of cinnamon.
Oh yeah, yeah. But it's the bark, right?
Yeah, it's the bark, yeah. You just scrape off like the very outer layer, and then you can actually make a little incision And then you can peel the cambium layer. It's 1/16 of an inch thick. And then you dry it and it curls up like a cinnamon stick. And then we can incorporate a lot of these different ingredients to the chocolate later on. That's called the jaguar cacao. This is probably kind of like a nice ripe one. It's a relative of cacao.
Would it make chocolate?
I mean, you can. I've tried it. It's hard. But what's interesting is in ancient Mayan cultures, this fruit held a similar significance in terms of their diet as much as cacao and corn, basically. So if you open it up, it's kind of like a strange cantaloupe. It's kind of similar to cacao. Here's the bean. I think the bean has a lot of fat content.
So you eat it.
You could, yeah, roast it. It's produced in like 4 years. I mean, ultimately, I don't know if I can really market this. It's more like a novelty. It'd be nice to kind of figure out how they ate this, you know?
You don't know.
We don't, yeah, it's forgotten.
Nobody grows this?
Not really on a commercial scale.
So how'd you find the seed?
I got it from collectors. Yeah. There's a creation story in Mayan culture. It's called the Popo Vul, and this is specifically mentioned in the text. So there's something to it. We just don't know.
I just have to figure out how to successfully ferment those.
Ferment them, okay.
Yeah, go from there.
Hawaii imports 99.9% of its carbohydrates. So if the ships stop coming here for some reason, we have probably about 3 days until we have to eat potato chips. And then after that, a week, yeah, we'll probably have no food in the stores. A lot of people don't realize this, you know? It's like people take it for granted. I mean, our supply chain is just designed to be right on time.
Yes.
And if something were to happen, you know, yeah, I don't want to go hungry. So, and I don't want my friends and family and neighbors to go hungry too. And you can only eat so much chocolate.